Hello and welcome to a LexisNexis Regulatory Compliance Solution training video. My name is Michael Nelson and I'm the product specialist for the solution. Today, we'll be looking at the way the content in the obligation registers is broken up. We'll start with the overview, then we'll look at the core and the sub-obligations, and finally, we'll look at the tools that support those. The first thing to see when you open any module is the overview obligation. It tends not to have any legal obligations attached to it per se, but what it will do is give you a sense of the balance of the content across the rest of the module. From there, we have a series of what we call core and sub-obligations. We've broken these up by topic so that when you're trying to get across what compliance looks like in relation to a particular area, what you're looking for should be relatively easy to find. The difference between a core and a sub-obligation is that a core will pick up and examine a topic at a relatively high level, while a sub-obligation picks up a particular aspect of what's covered in the core and examines it in much greater detail. And a good example of that is the customer due diligence obligation. Now, every obligation starts with a question. This allows you, when you're first determining which obligations are going to be relevant to your organization and adopted as such, to be able to quickly work through each of the obligations in the registers. What follows there is what we call practical guidance. This sets out as simply and clearly and concisely as we can what, in the view of our legal experts, compliance looks like in relation to this particular topic. As you can see, we've dot pointed where we can, and what we've done is consolidated this view from a variety of different compliance sources. We'll get to those in a moment. The next field is the remediation field. What this does is allow you as a customer to be able to identify the kind of policies and procedures and organizational structures that you should adopt in order to maintain a comfortable level of compliance. The following field is the consequence field. This sets out the maximum penalties that the organization, or in certain instances, its directors, might be exposed to in the event that that organization is found to be in breach. The following field, as you can see, is the compliance source field. This sets out the primary source material that our legal experts and our content team consider relevant when they were drafting this particular obligation. As you can see, these are live links out to where the legislation is stored. So if you want to get down to that primary source level, click on this. It will take you to legislation.gov.au in this case, and you'll be able to find the relevant sections that we've marked out here to see why our legal experts have formed the view that they have. The next field is the definition field. That basically allows you, when we are looking at content using terms as defined by legislation, we'll pull that definition out and we'll put it here so you can be confident that we're talking consistently across terminology. And the final field is the historical notes field. This picks up all the changes that we've made to an obligation over the course of its life. Once a month, the content is reviewed and refreshed to take into account legislative and regulatory changes. And where that takes place, for example, here, you'll be able to have a look at not just what changed and when it was changed, but we'll refer you back to the alert that drove that change so you can see all of the context. Other changes that we make, sometimes simply improvements to improve ongoing data quality. But whatever the case, whenever an obligation is flagged as updated, the historical notes field will tell you what was changed, when it was changed, and why. So if that's a core obligation, this is where the sub-obligations come in. If you want to examine a particular aspect, say, for example, identification, collection, and verification with respect to PEPs, click on that. And what this will do is allow you to focus your attention from the general content that's covered in the core down to this particular issue. And again, it follows the same structure. A question at the top of the page, practical guidance, setting out what compliance looks like. The remediation field, setting out what kind of frameworks you need to adopt, the consequences of being found to be in breach, the compliance sources, the definitions, and again, the historical notes. Finally, let's turn to the tools. Where we have identified information that's directly on point to a particular application that will help you get better use of that information, whether it's from a government website or a regulatory website or content that we've built ourselves, they'll be referred to in the body of the content in the obligations and linked to here. To get a general sense of the tools that we provide, click on the Tools button here, and you'll be able to find a variety of links that tend to be the kind of external resources that organizations rely on, but we've consolidated them all into one place, making them easy to find and linked them back to the obligations to which they're most relevant. I hope you found that to be useful. Look forward to sharing more training videos with you in future.